Hello and welcome to Graceful Connections. I am Sophie Bidard, your host on this journey to gracefully reach for the stars. An adventure of exploration, discovery, healing, liberation, growth, and truthful expression. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to join us today, bringing your unique energy that pours into our circle of connection. Your presence here honors the calling within you to dissolve neural distortions, shutting down your body's Supra-Consciousness highway, which is what our guest, Amanda Hopkins, will be sharing with us about today. And that sounds fascinating. So let's begin. Take a moment to let go of anything that doesn't serve this present moment. With each breath, feel yourself arriving more fully here. As we set our intention, may all that flows within our sacred space, be it words, vibrations, energies, serve the highest good and the highest evolution of our souls, and extend outward in service to all. I invite you to open your heart and your mind to receive all the brilliance that awaits. Activating your connection to the new Earth crystalline grid and to the galactic center, the center of truth. You are perfectly held, both grounded and lifted. You are safe, relaxed, ready, and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe and placing the orb of grace around our gathering, each and every one of us, that we be held in this orb of grace and infused with grace all along our time together. As grace permeates our field, it harmonizes and magnifies all that seeks alignment and illuminates all that longs for expression in accordance with divine will and the order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Within the orb of grace, I'm delighted to welcome Amanda Hopkins, intuitive energy efficiency expert. What a blessing to have you with us today, Amanda. Welcome.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to dive deeper into this brilliant super-consciousness highway that we have within our body that not only is a brilliant communicator for our body within our body, between body and mind, but also, a gateway to the cosmos and really bringing that expansive wisdom in through our being to inform us in new and magical ways. So I'm excited to dive into this beautiful vessel of light that we hold within our own being, within our incredible body technology. And get some clarity around what's going on with that through this ascension journey that we're all experiencing right now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us in the orb of grace today. And you always bring, such clarity to our body's intelligence and everything, all the complexities of it. You make it simple and accessible. So we're delighted to have you, and everyone. Our time together with Amanda today is dedicated to exploring the disturbing neural dynamic in your auric field, clouding higher vision, disrupting soul guidance, and stealing body vitality. And also exploring simple a simple solution to ensure your soul's elevated light codes are effectively integrating in your physical cells. And it has everything to do with your vagus nerve. So we're going to take a deep dive into this topic, and Amanda will also offer live intuitive readings. So to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Amanda, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask is, what's my number one neural disruptor impairing my vagus nerve? Or simply ask for a reading from Amanda, and that's what she's going to read for you. For now, let's dive into our fascinating exploration. And I'd like to begin with asking you, Amanda, why is the vagus nerve so important in our body's spiritual ascension?
Right. That's a great question, Sophie. And it plays such a key role for us, right? This is a cranial nerve that runs from our brainstem all the way down through our chest into our abdomen. So it really is a major communicator between our brain and our body. And so one of the things that I've been witnessing of late, especially, it's something I've seen for years, but it's become magnified and intensified as we continue to increase the vibrational resonance that we're wanting to bring in through our bodies, is that there's a separation of fields, so to speak. So what I mean by that is that when people are coming to me in session or when we're doing group work, what I'm witnessing is that the energy associated with the body is sitting outside of the body to some degree, but it's becoming as if there's this light field that is in some way just outside of the body, and it's not really fully integrating and assimilating into the body. And so I'm like, why is this becoming even more intensified? Even as we're grounding, as we're calling energy back into the body, it stays for a time, and then, but it's not sustaining long term, right? And so what I was shown is that the cosmic electro-frequencies, the divine energies that we are starting to bring in through the body are more nuanced. You mentioned the word complex, Sophie, and that's what is coming in, is these complexities, the depth, the richness, the multidimensionality of what is coming in. Our body isn't quite sure how to process and integrate that as fast as it's coming in, right? So it's like we're trying to keep up with the speed at which this information and these light frequencies are coming in. But our bodies are really struggling with being able to kind of stay in rhythm with the adapting changes because they are so accelerated right now. And so what I was shown is that when we work with this nerve that is such a prominent communicator through our body, the vagus nerve really connects with all the systems of the body and has an impact in some way, and a connection and a communication network. And so as we work with the vagus nerve, that allows our brain and our body to simultaneously receive the information and all of our systems to adjust automatically, instantaneously, when we prime it to those higher level frequencies. Right? When we have, signal processing, it was my kind of focus when I was in college. And so now as I start to look at what do we need to do, I'm going back to the filters, the way that we set the filters for the frequencies that are coming in. That's what we're doing for the body. And so we're looking at what are the filters that we need to set up through the auric field, through the meridians, through the different energy channels of the body, the bioelectric system of the body, the bioplasmic fields associated with the body, right? So that we can then allow the nuanced frequencies to come in, and instantaneously our body knows, yes, this is benevolent. This is here for me. And we allow that traverse through. That's what allows the energy to, instead of being somewhere outside the body so we can kind of observe and go, yes, that's okay, I can let it in, rather than doing that. Now we're just allowing it to move through our being, and we know that it is for us, right? So there's a whole new way in which our vagus nerve is needing to be attuned in a way that it hasn't been before. And I know that we've all done tons of clearing and shifting and transmutation and all these different pieces of work to really shift the consciousness within our body, which includes the vagus nerve, to the higher frequencies. But what I've been seeing is that, even the consciousness that maybe we held a year ago, even a few months ago, may now be outdated. And so we've got to shift how we're transmuting energy so that we are in dynamic transmutation, right? So our body is able to recognize, say, yes, this is relevant now, or no, this is not relevant anymore, and we're making those automatic shifts. And so, that's what I've been shown. We can do specific attunements for the vagus nerve. I know, breath work is one of those things that's really good. Toning, there's some actual tangible physical things that we can do. But we also have to go deep into that energetic wiring. Now, one of the things you might not realize is the depths at which your vagus nerve can be impacted. You might be having symptoms that you don't even realize are related to your vagus nerve. There's a whole host of them, Sophie. So anxiety, of course, is a big one. Anxiety and stress, feeling stressed, feeling anxious, not really feeling like you can settle into your body and rest and relax. Even when you're taking time, sometimes we can still feel like, okay, wait, maybe I shouldn't be relaxing, or maybe there's something else I should be doing. Or maybe we're like, yes, this rest is important and this meditation is important, but I want to get through it and get on to the next thing, right? We all have those moments. Or maybe you're actually settling in to do that, but you don't even realize that you're still holding a low level of anxiety. I've seen that, right? Where we are so attuned and so accustomed to living with a certain amount of anxiety that we don't even realize we're holding that. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the key symptoms that's associated to it, but also digestive issues, things like bloating, constipation, irritable bowels, heart rate and blood pressure issues. So increased heart rate, lower blood pressure, even fainting, so like you stand up too quickly and fainting, that can be a vagus nerve issue. Swallowing and voice problems, having difficulty swallowing, our vagus nerve is tied into our swallowing and vocal cord function. So that's another thing. Chronic inflammation. If you're having trouble really relieving inflammation, we know that inflammation in a short term is good for the body. It helps heal, but when we have it long term, it does a lot of damage. So if you have that chronic inflammation, or you have a weakened immune system, these are things, again, that are related to that vagus nerve dysfunction, sleep disturbances, fatigue, dizziness, even tinnitus, so the ringing in the ears, right? Now, that's not direct vagus nerve, but there is an indirect connection because the sensory feedback to the auditory system is related to the vagus nerve. And so, we have all these symptoms: brain fog, headache, migraines, feeling numb or detached, wanting to check out, wanting to disconnect, like not feeling motivated to do things. These are all things that can tie into the vagus nerve. So our physical body can really be telling us. And part of the reason that we experience symptoms in the body is that they are pointing us to a deeper dive. They're pointing us to going within and recognizing what is the spiritual connection to these. Right? Our vagus nerve really serves some key roles. You asked Sophie, what is the role in our spiritual ascension at this place? Mm-hmm. So our vagus nerve really plays some key roles. So if you're having these symptoms, you can start to go, wait a minute, maybe I need to go deeper into looking at what is my vagus nerve wanting me to know in regards to my spiritual awakening, because that's what this really is all about. And so, our vagus nerve really allows us to access higher states of consciousness when we can shift out of survival mode, when we're not overcome with how am I going to survive, how am I going to eat, where am I going to live, where am I going to stay, but not only that, how do I stay safe, right, in this world where I'm overwhelmed, overstimulated, and we're more overstimulated than ever, which is stress-inducing. But when we start to shift from that mode into really being grounded and in that spiritual space, and the container that you set up so beautifully here for us, Sophie, like that brings us into the divine and really calls us into that soul calling, that divine calling of what we came here to do and how we came here to be. So when we can shift to that, it enables us to access those higher states of consciousness that really guide us to live out our spiritual dharma, our soul dharma, our karmic path of awakening and illumination, right, rather than pain and suffering. And so the vagus nerve really is what allows us to settle into that rest mode, that mode to where we can settle in, relax, feel safe, and open up to those higher states of consciousness. And part of that is because it is a gatekeeper of our heart-mind connection, right? We know physically, literally, it serves as that for us. But also from a spiritual capacity, it serves the role in creating that coherence, which is so important for our whole being to be integrated in that higher soul mission and purpose. And so, this is where we really start to recognize this can be such a great avenue for us to really align with our cosmic self. I mentioned that our vagus nerve is a cosmic channel as well, because it helps us to open our vertical channel through our spine. In the way that it runs through, down along the spine, it helps us to open that vertical channel that allows us to connect more deeply with the earth and connect with the cosmos and integrate that all together through our body as a super-consciousness highway of light and information. So there's so much. I know, I just dumped a lot of information there, Sophie, but I think it speaks to the significance. And, I didn't even touch on every single thing that the vagus nerve serves as for us, but you can start to get the picture of how it really serves our evolution of our body as we open up to the higher realms of our being and really bring that energy and integrate that light into not only our bodies, but also the earth plane and supporting the planetary ascension as well.
Yeah, wow. So critical, this vagus nerve. Well, one impression I had is by hearing you is that it seems that it is really an instrument of discernment, and that when it is attuned and we get the benefit of the discernment, yes, it is such a benefit, and we are certainly bombarded with requests for discernment and for being sharp with our discernment every minute at the moment. But we can certainly sense how when we don't have this discernment, yes, it brings so much anxiety, stress, and so many other symptoms that you have mentioned. So yeah, wow, very, very precious vagus nerve. So going back to the cosmic channel that it is also, and the cosmic conductance in the body, what are the main keys for restoring the neural harmony for the cosmic conductance in the body?
Absolutely. So, of course, we've talked about the vagus nerve and attuning it to that sacred rhythm, that sacred soul rhythm of you, right? So I love that you brought in discernment, because we've talked about this before, I know you and I, Sophie, but what's right for you and what is of highest order and highest expression for you is going to be different than what's of highest order and expression for me and for everyone else on the call, right? We all have our own nuances and distinctions. And so that discernment as a wave through the body, I mean, that's how I live at this point. It's incredible, the synchronicities, and it's just constant reaffirming that. But when we attune our vagus nerve to the nuances and the unique resonances that really express the true nature. You talked about, it was interesting, you said orb of truth and then orb of grace. Right? It really is. This is about bringing truth through the body, your truth, not somebody else's truth, not what you've been told is true, not what we've been led to believe from a religious standpoint is true, or whatever conditioning we hold, right? So that vagus nerve attunement or toning to really bringing into that syncope, or to resolve the syncope. So syncope is like the neural disruptors, right? So that's the consciousness that we hold of what we thought we should be. And so much of that still exists within our being. Even as we are evolving into higher states of consciousness and we're resonating with truth, there still can be those questions of the mind like, ooh, am I letting someone down, or am I leaving someone behind? These are the most prominent ones for people that I see coming in, right? Because we want to ensure that we are being of service. And so the highest service that we can be is to be the truth of our own being. That's the greatest service that we can provide anyone in our world, right? And also our own bodies that carry us through this world. And so we really want to go about doing the vagus nerve tuning and attunements to the soul resonance of self, right? And there's so many different ways that we can do this. I mentioned that there are physical, tangible ways, but also we really need to explore what is the consciousness that's currently held in the vagus nerve, and what is it that's wanting to open and awaken as the higher expression of consciousness, the multidimensional realms of consciousness, but also bringing in that dynamic energy, like I talked about, that allows us to shift and evolve that consciousness in real time, right? As we evolve and grow and expand our knowing, or as the world shifts and calls for something new through us. We want that to be an automatic shift. We don't want to have to always go in and go, okay, wait, I've got to go do my work, right? And this is where the sacred symbols that I work with come in. You know, we bring those in through the expansive realms of consciousness so that they are kind of like a tuning crystal, if you will, where they're constantly checking in, right? And going, okay, what's needed now? What's needed now? What's needed now? So you're constantly dynamically shifting and adjusting. And so that's the first key, right? We've got to have our vagus nerve attuned to the soul resonance of self and have a way to make that dynamic, have a way to make that so that we are really adapting to all the information through the cosmos, through the earth, through the universe, through our bodies simultaneously in real time. That's the first key piece. The second key piece is our cerebrospinal fluid, right? We want to illuminate that. Now, our cerebrospinal fluid conducts divine frequencies through the spine and the brain. That's how I see it from a spiritual perspective, right? Thinking of this as like a liquid crystal that when it's in harmony, it's like an antenna for cosmic light codes that really support cellular regeneration and spiritual remembrance in the body, through the body, right? I think of it as like the protective field of light for the spine, for the brain, right? That's where it lives physically, is, you know, around the brain and protecting the spinal cord, right? All the neural function through there. And so we think of this as the protector of truth, the protector of our frequencies, the protector of our auric field as well, right? It's so important that we have this in place because, like we said, as we shift out of that survival mode and that sense of not feeling safe, the easiest way to do that is to be in our sovereign field of light. And so that we're in all of that coherence and congruence. We don't have those fear frequencies coming in and taking us off center, right? We can remain centered in the light of our truth. And then we know, okay, what's true, what's not, what do I need to be aware of? That's where we become so attuned to the intuitive flow that if there is something that is a threat or something that is a disturbance in our field, we recognize it and we go, wait, I need to pay attention to that, right? It catches our attention, but then we don't have to be kind of looking out and spending so much energy trying to figure out what's going to hurt or harm us, but rather we're centered in our truth. And when we need to be aware of something, boom, we're notified, right? So we've got to really entrain the fluids of the body, especially the cerebrospinal fluid, to be that liquid crystal, to be that liquid crystal medium that really informs us from a cosmic perspective how our body is meant to shift so that we can be that greater conduit of light that facilitates greater health in our body, greater harmony, and greater communication, again, between the earth plane, cosmic plane, universal plane, and ourselves. So that's the second piece, is our cerebrospinal fluid. And then the third piece I kind of hit on there a little bit in the other two pieces is the connection and the coherence between the earth plane and the cosmic plane through our body, right? So we think about earth star chakra, soul star chakra, serving as points of conductance to help us in that endeavor. And so we really want to strengthen our connections between the cosmos, between different star systems that are here to support us, calling in the qualities and the nuances of those, because there's such depth and, again, complexity, Sophie, with what can be offered that can really be nuanced for us. And so we want to take advantage of that, right? And it's also really fun to explore these expansive energies that want to come in and serve us in a unique and different way that we can really be the conduit for, to bring on to earth, and other people can benefit from that, right? Including the earth plane. That's how we come into greater service. And, you know, that's where all those concerns or worries about leaving people behind or not including people and these types of things that can sometimes hold us back from our spiritual progression fall away, and we realize the greater service that we can be to help bring people along, all people, all of humanity, all of the earth, all the living beings with us in this evolutionary journey. So those are kind of the three main keys that we really need to focus on in order to establish and sustain cosmic conductance in the body. And it all centers around having the vagus nerve attuned, and then those collaborations through the body attuned to the higher frequencies, with the sacred collaborations through the stars, the cosmos, the earth.
Mm-hmm. I feel like calling the vagus nerve the master nerve. It seems to be the master of all nerves, right? And that so much depends on it, so much relates to it, and that's the image that I was shown, like an electric circuit in the house, and maybe there's one wire that goes through the house, and that is to which everything else is connected, and it seems to be that this is the vagus nerve as the master nerve. So, okay, thank you for the clarity on these three keys. We're going to need to keep our focus on them and work on them actively. So how can we shift from our current levels of cosmic light conductance in our body to running higher dimensions of light through our body? Because that's what we want, right? So how can we do that, Amanda?
Absolutely. Well, Sophie, I feel like you're like reading my mind, because that was kind of the next piece I wanted to hone in on, is our vagus nerve as the master communicator, right? It is the master information highway through our body. And so really, again, it comes back to what we've already covered, is the attunement of the vagus nerve to the higher echelons of light. So that we can really invite in, thinking about lighting that up as the golden avenue of truth and light through our body, so that we're opening up the vagus nerve to the cosmic light communication and the divine direction that wants to come through us to really serve us at the higher level. Now, what that requires is not only lighting up the vagus nerve, but we've got to get our body on board as well, right? So again, our vagus nerve has a connection really to all the body systems as that main communicator, from the brain to the body. And the body really, so much of that communication really goes from the body to the brain. So we're really sending more of our communication is going from the body to the brain through that vagus nerve. But, with that biofeedback system, we want our body to be communicating accurate information to the brain so our brain knows how to respond effectively. And so we really want to start to recognize the connections, the sacred collaborations that occur between the different body systems and our vagus nerve. And so as we do that, we've got to look at the internal wiring and the cellular programming that matches the higher dimensional expressions and what is divergent from that in our body systems, right? This is so vital. We've got to have our physical body resonating in coherence with the multitude of frequencies that exist in the varying realms of our being, so that our body can support and serve that awakening and really kind of communicate to our brain that this is what I need from a higher perspective, from an expanded perspective of really evolving the body to operate as that divine crystalline light processor. Right? Now, these multidimensional realms, they all exist simultaneously within you, right? It's not like we're stepping up a ladder to get to a higher realm or to settle at a certain place or arrive at a certain place. We actually have to have access to all the multidimensional realms. If you're in a physical body, we also have to be navigating the quote unquote lower realms of existence, right? That's the slower realms of existence that allow us to be embodied. It's just a slower frequency, a slower resonance, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it's nice to move slow, right? Sometimes it's nice to mosey around and just be present. And then sometimes it's so fun to be flitting around and be in all the really high vibrational, quickness. And so these multidimensional realms, they exist within us simultaneously, but they also exist in the environment around us. And so we must have that internal signal processing network that really allows us to recognize the depths of these different dimensions within, and to evaluate and recognize, again, what are the benevolent higher essences that are here to serve and evolve our physicality, to communicate with the brain, like, okay, these are the things that are feeling good, and this is what I need. Respiratory system, the lungs, the diaphragm, even the psoas contributes to respiration. So really, that communication of like, oh, this is how I breathe divine breath in. This is what feels good. Communicating that to the brain so that the brain can shift and then be that beacon of information to bring that forward in new ways for the respiratory system. So that's one example, but all of our systems have this capacity to really communicate what they need. It's just like if I come to you, Sophie, and I'm like, Sophie, I don't feel like I can communicate just auditory. I need to be on video too with you now, right? Like I would just come and tell you that, and then now okay, well, we can adjust. We can do that differently, and that's how we would do it. Not saying that that's what I'm telling you, but like if that were the case, I would come to you and tell you, right? The way that we've been operating right now is almost like a disjointed. It's like the respiratory system knowing what it needs, but thinking like, oh, I really wish that I could. It would be like me saying, oh, I really wish I could be on video, but not telling you.
Right. Yeah. What are the chances? What are the chances? Yeah. Like
right.
Living to chance or living to guess the outcome that we need, or our needs and the different organs needs being served. So that's very random, I guess.
Yeah, and so now we're just making that shift so that it's like those communication channels are open and clear. It's the clarity, because the other thing is if like every other word I tell you is bleeped out, you're gonna be like, right. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Okay. Master communicator. I wonder if it takes part in telepathy, because when you said that so yes, I brought the master nerve, and then you said, well, it's the master communicator, and my impression is that the vagus nerve whispered to me the word master, or is it your vagus nerve that whisper? Is it the telepathy between us? Is it the vagus nerves? The master communicators are playing their game between you and me and getting the message out. Anyway,
well, all of us, really, all of our vagus nerves are giving us information that's
and those from the audience, right? The questions, like the request for clarity. How can the clarity come through to the audience, right? And what are the words that are being prompted? Very interesting. Okay, let's give. Before we go on, I want to give a big thank you, big gratitude to our vagus nerves, and for all they have been doing already, and maybe already claiming our commitment to supporting it more and better, and to supporting its master role in our ascension, right? And so with that, let me ask you, Amanda, so yes, there are many connections that the vagus nerve is having with so many aspects and organs of the body. What are the main connections with the vagus nerve that we need to address so that we can fully convert our bodies to the divine crystalline light processors?
Right. So we've already talked about our body systems and our nervous system. We've already talked about our cerebrospinal fluid, the brain and the spine as, pieces of that connection as well. So we've already got those connections that we've talked about, but we also really have to look at kind of our energetic pathways, right? Our meridians, our nadis, our pranic pathways, which are our nadis. These are the subtle conduits that allow the vital life force to flow through our body, and to really allow our subtle body to make those instantaneous shifts and adjustments, to have the energy to do it, to have the recognition to do it. And these channels are so important in really infusing our organs, our glands, with the energy, the knowledge, and the enriching energy. So similar to how our blood delivers oxygen to our body and delivers nutrients to our cells, right? The pranic pathways help to deliver the kind of cosmic nourishment, if you will, to the cells of our body so that we can recognize that kind of fresh breath of divinity. And when we realize that we can be fueled by that, that takes us even into an even deeper release of fears around our survival needs being met, around being so steeped in the quote unquote realities of the physical world, right? Are they realities if we're living in them? I don't want to discount that because it feels very real. But we have such a greater capacity to shift and impact and influence the environment in which we live, more so than we even realize at times, right? And so when we are breathing and when we are adjusting our pranic pathways to breathe in that breath of divinity to our body, to our bioelectrical systems, it shifts how we interact and engage with the physical world around us. It shifts how we perceive. Even in nature, we can peer into the spaces in between the physicality and really experience the trees in a different way, the air, the sun. And so when we really start to shift how our pranic pathways are tuned and our meridians are tuned within our body, it opens us up to the subtleties and the nuances of the world around us in a different way that allows us to recognize our capacity to not only be enriched by our environment in new ways, but also to enrich our environment and to influence our environment to be of higher vibrational resonance, right? So we've got to look at our pranic pathways, our meridians in relation to our body. Those are other connections that we need to work with. And then also, of course, our chakras, right? Energy transformers that exist within our body that really, I talked about the Earth Star and the Soul Star chakras. We've got these vast energy centers that really can open us up to a greater biocosmic flow and deeper integration within the body. And so as we're working with the vagus nerve, we really want to pay attention to these different kind of amplifiers of light for our body, right? And recognize how are they serving us? How are they maybe not serving us right now in the ways that we want them to, right? And what is the consciousness that is centered around that when we shift that, we are now able to run even greater levels of that light through the body and serve the purity of the information that's running through the master communicator that is our vagus nerve that informs our brain from our body and then, gives that feedback loop back to the body. Here's what you do.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I was once again realizing that we are so blessed to have you as our guide, really bringing the clarity to what is, to what the perspectives are, what the stakes are, and how to do it, and also taking our hands and, okay, let's go and do it. Let's go and do it together. So thank you, Amanda. I think you've perfectly laid the ground for the readings. We know that your readings are just so profound and bring so much more clarity, even more clarity. We get personal with the readings. Do you feel now is a good time to get into the readings, or is there anything you want to add before we take this step?
Yes, definitely. And I just want to add kind of a little bit of insight around the readings that I'm going to be doing. So when I identify that neural disruptor, what I'm looking at is the relationship of the neural disruptor for the vagus nerve with the system of the body. So I'm going to identify which system of the body is being most impacted, what the neural disruptor is that I see impacting both the vagus nerve and that body system. And then we'll be looking at what is the consciousness that is creating that neural disruption, right? So what's the belief, what's the emotion associated with that? So that's the information you'll be getting. So as I read that, that's what you'll know that's what you have within that needs to be transmuted to shift that neural disruptor and bring your vagus nerve into greater harmony and balance.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I love how you take care of clarity and that everything be clear before we go into doing our work. So thank you for that. So everyone, to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Amanda, or place your request in the Q&A box. And the question to ask is, what's my number one neural disruptor impairing my vagus nerve? And let's get started with live callers. Then we're going to go to the Q&A where we have so many requests. So thank you, everyone, for your interest. We're going to go first to South Africa with Helen. Hello, Helen. Welcome. Hi, Helen. We cannot hear you.
Hello, Helen.
You hear me?
Yes, here you are. We can hear you now. Welcome, Helen.
You can hear me. Thank you very much. So yes, please, what is my number one neural disruptor impairing my vagus?
Absolutely, Helen. So I'm going to cardiovascular and vagus. And what I saw immediately was like a warped field around the heart. There's a sense of if I go for what I want, then that's selfish. That's not okay. Like I shouldn't be doing that, and shame on me. So there's shame. There's that sense of feeling like I can't do that because that's not okay. It's not good. It's not fair to others. Not only is it creating kind of a warped energetic field around the heart where it's like it's not quite truth, it's also appearing as a warped field around the auric field. So like your whole auric field is adjusting to this idea of I have to put others first and then I can maybe go for I want somewhere down the line, hopefully. But it doesn't even really feel real, like it's okay for me to go for what I want at any time. So that's the consciousness that we need to have you shifting, because once you settle into what it is that you really want and you're going for that from a heart perspective, again, you know, we kind of touched on this earlier in the discussion, but you being the greatest conduit of your sacred light and what your heart is calling forward through you is of greatest service to all living beings, the planet, the cosmos, everything. So I can see your energy is already starting to resonate with that, and there's already subtle shifts that are starting to occur. So we just want to go a little deeper with that shift.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Is that related to family that's blocking it?
Well, your family's not the one blocking it. It's your consciousness that's holding that disruption in place. Once you release that, then, when we are in our sovereign space of being, then the capacity for others to influence our field becomes smaller because now we're rooted in our own truth. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. So it's more about self-sovereignty than anything else.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, one of the big fears tends to be that, if I come into a greater space of sovereignty and I honor my energy and what I want, then I'm going to lose people in the process. But what I found is it tends to enrich and deepen the sacred connections with others from a higher space of expression. We can let that truth. I feel like that's important for everybody to hear. So thank you for being the conduit for that, Helen.
Well, you know that but it has to work on all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All
Well,
right. Thank you,
It's
Helen. You're welcome. Thank you. Blessings. Okay. Wonderful. Let's go to Half Moon Bay, California with Lisa. Unmuting you, Lisa. Hello. Hello. Welcome. You're on the line.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Welcome.
Hello, ladies. Beautiful lights. The name threw me. The name is my sister.
Okay, that's the name that shows up. So it's good that you recognize yourself. So what is your name?
My name is Cynthia.
Cynthia. Welcome, Cynthia. Okay.
It's lovely to meet you.
Okay.
You as well. I already have the reading. I mean, if you want to ask the question, you can, but it just came really fast. So, Cynthia, do you want me to go ahead?
Please do. Thank you.
So for you, I was seeing musculoskeletal system in relation to the vagus nerve, and what I was being shown was that it's like I was seeing this mechanical way of like moving, like this is the way I'm supposed to move, and like the arms and the legs kind of moving like, very precise and not like a fluid movement. And so what I'm seeing is that your musculoskeletal system is wanting to move more in that fluidity, and I keep being drawn to like that liquid crystalline energy that we were talking about with the cerebrospinal fluid, but I see that as really that kind of liquid crystalline energy wanting to come in through the whole fascia and musculoskeletal system to help resolve that sense of having to move in deliberate fashion. Now, part of that kind of deliberate movement, I see the consciousness related to that links to a past life origin of 27 past lives ago, and it's all around having to be calculated in the movements in order to be received by community or to be welcome in, to not be rejected or cast out. And in many civilizations, in order to be provided for, we had to be an active contributing part of a community, right, where we were all contributing to the food growth or gathering or, to one another so that we could all survive. So that's what I'm seeing is there's this sense of consciousness within the body that in order to be in that survival, I've got to be received by community. And in order to do that, I have to be deliberate and precise in my movement so as not to upset the perceptions or perspective of others about what's acceptable versus what's not. So that's the consciousness that we want to have dissolved and released out so that your musculoskeletal system can be in more of that fluid movement and then releasing that anxiety and stress from the vagus nerve as well.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Blessings. So very precise. I love the precision that you bring to the type of consciousness, the consciousness that is in the way. And before we take the next caller, I want to mention for everyone that we're going to get some readings done, and then Amanda is going to talk about how she's here to support everyone shifting these shifts, right? So stay on the line. If you get your reading, stay on the line. And whether or not you get your reading, rest assured that help is available, and we're going to talk about this in a little moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Sophie, just to kind of piggyback on that for a minute here, the readings that I'm doing, they are going to be addressed through the activations that are part of the offer. So I'm going to talk about that. But if you're going, oh, wait, okay, yes, I want to shift that, but I want to make sure I really get it done and that it's clear and complete. That is something that we're going to be going through in these different remote activations that I'm going to be talking about. So, you can kind of go and look deeper at that. But I just want to clarify that everything that we're reading there's a solution for that within the offer. So just to make that clear.
Right. And today you read the number one disruptor. I'm sure that in your program you're addressing not only the number one, but we can run the program several times and address other, right? Not only one, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. With that being clear, now let's go to we have Rhonda on the line. Unmuting you, Rhonda. Hello, welcome, Rhonda.
Yes, hello, hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much. So I guess my question is similar. What is the number one neural disruption impairing my vagus nerve? Thank you.
Yes, so we're going to respiratory for you. And the word that I'm hearing is wheezing. And what I'm seeing, we're going back 13 past lives ago. And what I'm being shown is that there's a sense of having to like hold the breath. And then it's like, oh my gosh, wait, I have to breathe now. And so it's like trying to take a deep breath and soak in the air, but it's a very disjointed kind of breathing that looks like this kind of wheezing energy. And the holding of the breath really stems to the fears of like being disruptive or being causing disturbances and then getting in trouble for that, like some authority figure calling it out or getting you into trouble for making noise or being disruptive or something like that, right? Almost like, I don't know if you've ever had this where it's like you did something and you had to go tell mom and dad and you tell them and you're like holding your breath like, oh gosh, how are they going to respond, right? Like that moment.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that idea. So that's what I'm seeing is like there's that tendency to hold the breath. And so something that would be really good for you even is just to recognize throughout the day, like just take a pause and be like, am I holding my breath? There might be times that you're doing it physically without even realizing it. And it may not be. It might just be an energetic thing that's going on for you. But it would be an interesting, kind of exercise for you to pay attention and notice if there are times when you're holding your breath without realizing it. But that's the consciousness that we want to have you shift, because again, that's holding like almost like a pause in the vagus nerve flow is what I'm seeing. It creates like this pause energy, but also like a waiting to receive. And so that's associated with the pause. It's like a waiting to receive, like waiting to see, okay, am I in a safe space where I can actually receive the insight that's coming through me? And we want that just to be a continuous flow of truth and light that's moving through you. So that's what I see we want to have shifted for you.
All right. Thank you so much. And I look
you.
forward to your upcoming, classes or remote activation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome.
We're going to talk about this very soon. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you.
you.
And thank you for bringing the breathing, holding breath. That's something I've been doing for so long, holding my breath. And as you said, Amanda, already starting by noticing, and there's a number of instances where there's actually no need to hold your breath, so just to stop doing it. And then there's where more deeper work is required to change the habit or whatever is behind it. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's go to Pompano Beach, Florida with Tamara. I'm unmuting you, Tamara. Hello.
Hello. Thank you. And my question is what has been stated. And hello, Amanda. Beautiful Amanda.
Hi, Tara. So good to hear your voice. I'm going to reproductive and urinary tract systems for you. And what I'm seeing with that is there's a sense of inadequacy that's coming in here. And this is tracing back to 8 past lives ago. And what I see, it's almost like I see you looking up. It's more dad in that lifetime, like looking up, like wanting to please, wanting to, like, did I do a good job? Get that feedback and get that affirmation that, yes, I did a good job. And so what I see wanting to shift for you is like there's this big creative light and sacred fire that's wanting to really illuminate within your body being in that area. And so we really want to have you release that sense of having to get some kind of approval from outside or seek some sort of approval, even from your own self, right? Really just letting you be in the exploration and the curiosity of what's moving through you and the fascination of that, and letting that kind of take over. And that will bring, like, I even see your legs starting to light up. That will bring so much more new energy into your body that will fuel you in really beautiful ways, but also allow you to relax more fully into the body so that that energy can increase within. So your vagus nerve relaxing and communicating to your brain like, yes, this is great. This is actually serving me. Let's open up to more.
Whoa, beautiful. And when it opens up and it's in that area, but then it infiltrates my whole body and the way I respond.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Like feeling the whole body and then even expanding out and being able to be shared with others. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, count me in.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to more live callers. I want to go to the Q&A for a little while. We have so many requests over there, so let's we are jumping to Melbourne, Australia with Madison. What's the number one neural disruptor impairing the vagus nerve for Madison?
Yeah, Madison. So for you, I'm going to digestive system. And what I'm seeing is like a rejection of light. And so, this could physically relate to poor assimilation of nutrients and nourishing food. It could relate to food allergies, even being able to consume certain foods, things like that. Or it could simply be energetic. But there's still, there's almost like a pushback. Like it's like I see your hands out, like holding back the light. Like, okay, wait, what do I want to let in? And it's almost like a force field, like trying to come in. And there's this immense pressure of like trying to push it out. Now, where I see that fear of really receiving and assimilating and taking in and soaking in, well, I'd qualify it. It's not so much fear, but it's more of like, if I take all this in, then other people's are going to have to do without, or other people that I care about are going to have to do without. Like, there's only so much to go around. That's the consciousness. And I see that linked to 47 past lives ago for you. So we've got to shift that consciousness so you can let the fullness of that light in and recognize that there is infinite supply for all, right? And, as we each open to receive that more, it actually opens up permission for others to do the same. And also the example, it's kind of like, if we see that somebody can do something, you think about the 4-minute mile, when people couldn't run, a 4-minute mile, and then somebody does, now all kinds of people are running it, right? So it's the same idea when somebody demonstrates something's possible, others follow suit. So really letting yourself become that greater receptacle of light as an example, and the recognition of, that infinite supply. That's what we need to shift into from that space of trying to hold the energy back.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Madison. Blessings. We are going to Cambridge with Lisa.
Yeah, so Lisa, for you, I'm seeing immune system. And what I'm seeing is what looks like noise. There's like this chatter or noise, and it's almost like the noise has become comfortable. It's like in the silence, it feels almost unsettling. That's the perception. That is actually linked to a past life, that perception. And it looks like you're like, well, I don't really resonate with that, but I still see it in your field. Right, so we've got to get that shifted out. Now, I see that 14 past lives ago is where I see that originating for you right now. So we've got to shift that sense of feeling unsettled in the stillness and in the quietness, and that noise being more comfortable. And then also what I see is that really coinciding with that is the perception of the ability of the noise to influence you. It doesn't have that power, right? So we've got to have you dissolve that perception and that belief as well, that the noise has the power to, is more powerful than your sovereign states and truth, right? And this is so true with the immune system. So, this is good for everybody, all of you listening in, right? When we can stay centered in our truth, that noise becomes just that. It's out in the periphery. It's not something that has the power and the same power and capacity to influence us and have us shift course. So that's the significance of really attuning the vagus nerve to higher truth, and we remain centered in that, and we work with cerebrospinal fluid through the brain and the spinal cord, and really attune our whole body being to that higher truth. Now that noise is just something outside of us that we don't even register anymore most of the time. It's outside those filters that I was talking about earlier. So that's what I'm seeing for Lisa, is the immune system.
Thank you. Blessings, Lisa. Going to Atlantic Highlands with Michelle.
Michelle. Yes, I'm going to endocrine system, and I'm hearing hormones for you. And what I'm seeing is that there's a perception of things just having to be kind of crazy and in the upheaval and having to navigate kind of this storm, right? And that's reflected in the hormonal kind of storm going on. And that consciousness is 8 past lives ago for you. And so we want to have you shift out of that perspective or perception that things have to be crazy or chaotic or upheaval, right? And really allowing you, again, we're going back to that being centered in the light of truth. And having that center in truth, you can recognize that, okay, there's different energies and different vibrational frequencies and all kinds of different things going on. But I'm centered in a foundation of light that allows me to kind of navigate a scale so that I'm still always centered in my truth, even if it's in different kind of frequency bands, if you will. Okay? So we want to shift that consciousness for the endocrine system there.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Blessings. Let's go to Tucson, Arizona with Renee.
Yeah, so for Renee, I'm going to reproductive and urinary tract system. The consciousness origin is 7 past lives ago, and what I'm seeing there is a sense of it's too much, it's too intense, it's too hard. That's the energy that I'm seeing. When we think about the process of bearing a child, this is what's coming in for you. Bearing a child, there's that. I mean, it is an intense process, right? There's a lot that goes into that, but there is a divine way in which that unfolds that enables it to be possible and to happen in a way that brings beauty out into the world. And so we want to shift that consciousness that the birthing process has to be painful and destructive, right? That's the consciousness that's showing up that we need to shift, and really recognize that the birthing process, is it going to come with some internal shifts? Always, right? Like, even when I think about bringing together these offers that come through, it's like a birthing process, right? There's so much that my own body and being goes through to bring through the information and insight. But it's a beautiful process, right? It can be exciting, it can be fun, it can be a dance, rather than something that is perceived as painful. So that's the shift that we want to make there, to really open up that reproductive system to birthing through what wants to move through your body being.
And it applies to, yes, not only baby birth, but birthing of projects, birthing of ideas. I'm hearing birthing of new versions of ourselves, of yourself, Renee, right? So many nuances and aspects of birthing are being concerned here. Okay,
absolutely,
very beautiful.
Which ties into the vagus nerve, where we have that dynamic in real time, consistent adjustments occurring. Yeah, the significance of that. Just kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier.
Beautiful. Thank you, Renee. Blessings. Okay, we'll come back to have you do more of your brilliant readings, Amanda. For now, you have created an exclusive offering. You have birthed it, so thank you for presenting the baby today. It is Supra-STELLAR vagus nerve conduction, vagus nerve elevation for advanced nervous system function, energetic proficiency, and brain evolution. So we'd love to hear all about it. Everyone to follow, you can go on the web to gracefulconnections.com/Amanda5. That's Graceful Connections with 2 L's, as in full of grace, gracefulconnections.com/Amanda and the digit 5. If you're on the webcast, you have a button and a link. You can click to get on the page. And if you're on the replay, just scroll down the page and discover Amanda's special offer. Amanda, please reveal what you've created for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've talked a lot about what are the keys to really opening up that cosmic conductance through the body. And so that's what this is. This is the pathway. This is the journey through that, through those keys, through the refinements that need to occur that really allow you to be proficient in being available to the multidimensional essences that are wanting to traverse through the body at any given time. Again, we might have 4 to 5 different dimensions that are really wanting to coexist within you. We might have 12 that are wanting to coexist within you at one time. And so how do we really adjust the body and attune the body and the cells to be available to that? That's what we want. That's what's going to provide us the greatest efficiency and effectiveness within our bodies. So, of course, that's what's going to promote the highest levels of vitality from a physical standpoint. So what I've put together are a couple of live immersions. So this is about an hour, we'll be on a call. It's just long enough to make adjustments, but also to be very digestible, right? So that we are really titrating what is coming in for your body system, and your body system can adjust and assimilate instantaneously. So the first one is going to be a liquid celestial light animation immersion. This is all about working with the cerebrospinal fluid, refining it as that cosmic medium, right, to really bring the multidimensional essences in and through the body. And so the main thing that we're going to be doing here is installing and integrating micro-tuning crystals that establish that cosmic connection and really sustain that connection over time, even beyond the moment when we're bringing that in, and allow for that beautiful dynamic collaboration with cosmic intelligence, so that as the cosmos goes through its cycles and phases and evolution, that we are available to really respond to that again in real time, right? We've got that information, we've got that insight as the protective field, and it really creates that liquid light essence around our body and aura that holds the body in vibrational resonance with the cosmic nourishment and the tones that enable your body to relax and receive the cosmic essences that really take you to those next levels of being within your body. So, you can look, there's a lot more information about what we're going to be doing in that immersion. But we're also going to be calling upon the Arcturian frequencies to help bring in elevated technology for neurological refinement, to rewire our nervous system so that we are in accordance with our cerebrospinal fluid being attuned to these higher essences. So that's the first immersion that we're going to be doing. And then the second, these are live group meetings. We'll be coming together in a live group and going through some processes together. The second one is going to be the golden vagus nerve innervation immersion, right? This is where we're really lighting up our vagus nerve with the light of soul truth, innervating that information highway, all the connections, all the neural networks, as divine channels. Really, awakening that, as we talked about, Sophie, the master communicator through the body that really is attuned to our highest truth. And in that enlightenment, we tap into the cosmic memory of our soul, right? We have had many incarnations. We also exist in many realms of being that we aren't even aware of. Like our brain can't even probably process the depths at which and the expansiveness at which we exist in all space and time and dimensions and realities. And so we're bringing into the fold with this innervation the capacity to bring those cosmic memories in that really help us open up more to the gifts of our soul, what we are naturally adept at doing, right? Like it flows through us. We don't even realize that it is something that is special that we do. But it enables our vagus nerve to be that divine channel that allows us to be awake to that cosmic memory, but also to establish within our being unity consciousness, right? Our whole being attuned to the divinity of soul self. This is really important because it brings, when our mind is saying one thing and our heart is saying something else and our gut is saying something else, and we've got all these different pieces going, that takes a lot of energy to be that disjointed. So when we come into unity consciousness, all of our really nerve-rich centers are in coherence and on the same page. So as we alight our vagus nerve as that golden pathway of truth and light, and we animate the cosmic blueprint for our vagus nerve, we really establish that capacity to stay centered in the communication and light of our highest truth through our body as a resonance and as an expression. So that's the second, live connection that we'll have. And then after that, we're going to go through, it's listed as 9 days, but it's really 18 days because we'll do an activation. We'll have an integration day, but it's a nine vagus nerve remote activations. Right. And this is really where we're going through. We talked about the sacred connections that are important. We're going through the different nervous systems and the different systems of the body. I was seeing the nervous system. I was just kind of following on the page so I can guide you in order here. But we're going through the different systems of the body in how they relate to the vagus nerve. Right. So we're going to be looking at those connections, but we're also going to be looking at the relation to the chakras, the relation to the meridians and the pranic pathways. Right. and the relation to the cerebral spinal fluid. So as we do each of these activations, we're taking all of these pieces into consideration, and then we're also taking into consideration the earth connection and how are these advancements and shifts really being integrated into the body and fostering that deeper connection with the earth plane. So we're going to be opening up, the biggest thing is we're doing a celestial invocation. You'll have a guided audio celestial invocation for each of these. And so we're going to be calling in the support of these different star systems and stars to help support the awakening of kind of the majesty of each of these systems in relation to the vagus nerve and how that awakens higher truth and light in your body for you specifically. So with each of these activations, I tune in directly to your energy fields, and I'll do refinements with those and make adjustments specifically for you, looking at your meridians, your chakras, the earth plane connections. One of the things that I love to do and that I've got a special gift for is establishing ley line connections between the earth plane and your body. What do you most need? So, we'll be looking at what do we need to open up as those sacred connections for you so that we can really anchor those energies into your body, in your physicality, and be strengthened here on this planet in this incarnation in that endeavor. So you can look and see what are the specific connections that we're going to be making, star connections with the body systems on the page there. But we are going to be going through 9 of those. And again, between each, we'll have an integration day, where there's that time to assimilate, and you're being held in the sacred container. And I'll be doing kind of group check-ins to make sure that the energy is staying settled in the body for you. Okay, so those are the key pieces that we have there, Sophie, for this sacred journey.
Thank you. Wow. Very solid program, and it is very generously priced for this whole comprehensive package, and it comes with a PayPal for payment option that is available in many countries, making it possible to access even more easily and get your master communicator attuned and in its best possible shape and form, and the congruence and the coherence and all of that goodness. So thank you for creating this. It is really a magnificent package. Thank you, Amanda, for creating this package and offering the exclusivity of it to Graceful Connections. Everyone stay with us. We're going to go back to readings now, but stay all along our time together, as we'll be sharing a special announcement at the end of our gathering, and you will want to hear this. For now, let's go back to more readings. We're going to go on the line to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 1676 are the last digits. I'm unmuting you. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome. Yes. What is your name, please?
Hi, Amanda. It's Patricia. How are you?
Hi, Patricia. I'm great. How are you? So happy to hear you.
Yes, it's been a couple of months. So I guess the question is, what is the obstruction or whatever, my vagus nerve?
I got you. Cardiovascular system is what I'm looking at for you. And what I'm seeing is there's a compartmentalization coming in. So, you know how we have the 4 chambers of the heart? It's almost like working independently, right? And what I see, this traces back to a consciousness. It's 27 past lives ago for you, and it's a consciousness of having to go it alone, like having to do things piecewise, and then having to kind of just step in and be strong and do it on my own, and not receive help, like not wanting to be a burden or not wanting to impose on people. So that's the consciousness that I'm seeing that we want to have shift, because what that's doing is it kind of puts this fear consciousness that I see running through the vagus nerve around, oh, you know, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I ask people for help? Or maybe they won't like me. Like there's this, it's almost like sends this trigger to the mind of all these possibilities, right? So we want to just dissolve all that and just have you in tune with what am I being called to do through me? Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for you, dear.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Thank you, Patricia. Blessings. Okay, let's go to, thank you. Let's go to Schomburg with Andrea. Unmuting you, Andrea. Hello.
Hello, Sophie and Amanda.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello, Siri. Was my number one neural disruptor impairing vagus nerve?
Yeah, for you, I'm going to respiratory. And what I'm seeing is that, wow, this is really cool. So what I'm seeing, it's like breathing in Divine Mother. And I'm almost seeing as if you breathe in and become pregnant with the divine breath. Like I see the belly expanding really full out, almost like a pregnant belly, but it's you're full of the breath. And then with that breath, it's like the energy becomes this beautiful, it's like you're kind of creating this formula that as you breathe it out, it blesses the world around you. Right? That's what I'm seeing is what's wanting to open and awaken within you. Now, what I see is the hindrance to that is there's a consciousness within the vagus nerve of who am I to do this? There's almost a diminishing or like a I've got to stay humble kind of consciousness going on, where it's like the word that's coming in is a dishonoring of the potency of the sacredness of what you bring through you. And so what I'm hearing Divine say, and this is tied back to 24 past lives ago for you. So what I'm saying, hearing your higher self say is that you are divinity embodied, and this is part of the divine gift that you bring. And so it's just about the being in the flow of allowing that to happen and not necessarily bringing it up as this exalted thing or bringing it down as a not exalted thing, but just really being, but it is an exaltation of a gift, right? And so when we say that, there is truth in that, right? And so it's not like a hype up kind of thing. It's just the description of what's actually transpiring. And so really allowing you to come into the settling within your body of the recognition of just the brilliance and the beauty that you bring. And I think this is so beautiful, Andrea, because I'm seeing that this isn't just touching your heart. It's like so often people diminish these beautiful gifts that they bring through them, thinking that, oh, well, I don't want to overhype it, or I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so great, or these kind of things that come through. And then that kind of reduces the exuberance with which divine can breathe life through us and breathe these gifts through us. And so I think what you're bringing through here is so important for all of us to recognize that we are meant to be these divine conduits of light, and we are to allow ourselves to be the fullness of that. So that's what I see. We want to have you shifting any of that consciousness that feels like you have to hold back or be humble or anything like that, and really open up to that greater kind of divine respiration that's wanting to awaken at even higher levels for you. Okay?
Very beautiful, Suri, and I'm already in, so I'm excited to start the program.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. I love your gift, blessing with breath. That is so beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Blessings. Well, blessings to you. Let's breathe the blessings back to you, Andrea. Full circle, yes. Yeah, and it is so important to own and honor our gifts. As divine gifts, that's what they are. There's nothing, there is nothing arrogant or pretentious or anything. This is totally irrelevant. And we need to get clear and to get in alignment with our gifts and to simply do the things that we have been gifted with. So thank you, Andrea. Blessing.
It's so freeing, it's so freeing when we can really settle into this is what's moving through me, and we spend less and less energy on all the other stuff, right? And there can be that perception of I'm losing something. We're coming back to this, but I think it's so important. I'm losing something, or I have to give something up, but in reality, we become so much more, and the things we thought we wanted, like they're just they don't even compare to what actually then awakens within us. And I know, Sophie, you can speak to that as truth as well.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
it's incredible.
And I would say, Amanda, you are doing the exact illustration of that, of owning your gift, using your gift and delighting in it. And yeah, so this is very consistent and congruent. Okay, very good. Let's go to the Q&A. We have so many requests over there. So let's go to Laura in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay. So what I'm seeing is, so we're going to the nervous system. And what I'm seeing is like a disjointed communication between the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Right, there's like a rift. And that's tying to 8 past lives ago. What I see is that there's a sense of not being able to trust self and trust the information that's coming through. And that is because of the imposition and the projection of Father knows best is what I'm hearing, but it's that idea of where the authority figure knows best and I can't, what's coming through me isn't valid or I can't trust it. So that's the consciousness that we need to have shifting, and that we need to shift and bring that nervous system back into harmony and congruence with what is that flow of intuition, light, and truth that wants to come through you. And so we want to attune the vagus nerve to that as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Blessings. Let's go to Bulgaria with Zlatko.
Yeah. So I'm going to the endocrine system, and what I'm seeing is that there's a higher network of light that's wanting to awaken. It's like bringing in new information or new ways of using our body technology. So I always like to think of the body as body technology. Like we've got this advanced technology that breathes us and beats our hearts and all these wonderful things, right? So what I see is that capacity to really call forward new ways of using the body, but there's a sense of being steeped into the suppression of that, like not wanting to be too weird or too out there because I won't fit in, right? That's the consciousness that is coming from a past life. It's 18 past lives ago. So there's this need to fit in. So you're going to want to go deeper into why do I feel the need to fit in? A lot of that has to do with, again, this came through in another reading, that sense of being in community and having connection. But for you, rather than survival, this is more about that love is needed, right? That love to feel that connection. That's what allows you to feel like without that, it feels like, oh, I can't survive without that, right? That sense of wanting that deeper connection. And so we want to shift that consciousness, but we also want to bring in the recognition of you already are connected internally. Like we are all already connected, divinely connected, right? And so recognizing the interconnection of all that exists and how, we've heard of the butterfly effect. Butterfly flaps its wings in one place and, clear across the world, something else happens, right? There's the effect. So similar idea, we're all connected in that way, through the greater cosmic grid, earth plane grid, human consciousness grids. Like there's so many different ways in which we are all interconnected, right? So you don't have to have that from an outside perspective. And the irony coming in with that is that the more we let go of this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have to fit in and be connected, the deeper and the greater the relationships we can actually foster with one another. So, so that's what I'm seeing for you.
Okay, thank you, Zlatko. Blessings. We are going to Amory, Wisconsin, with Therese.
Yeah. Going to the musculoskeletal system, and what I'm seeing is that there's a perception of weakness, like weakness and capability. I can't handle it. It's all too much. This is the consciousness I'm seeing. This goes back to 11 past lives ago. So we want to shift that out. That invokes a fear response that I see in the vagus nerve that is really about not measuring up and not being able to fulfill the needs that you require to navigate this earth plane. So that's what we want to have shifted, really bring you in that greater majesty of what wants to awaken through your body being and reinvigorating that true strength of you, right? That true flow of you that it's like activating your innate design for what you came here to do, that provide you the strength beyond what you can even imagine is how it's showing up. Yeah,
Wow.
really cool possibilities there.
Wow, love it. Thank you, Therese. Blessings. Let's go to Sacramento, California with Carol.
Yeah, Carol. So I'm going to immune system. What I'm seeing, Carol, it's interesting. I'm going about 12 past lives ago, and it looks like you, in that lifetime, you were some sort of healer or kind of medium of transmutation is the words that are coming in. And the way that you helped people would be that it was like as if you would take on whatever they were going through, disease, troubles, worries, and transmute it through your own being, right? And there were time and spaces where that was an effective way or that's what was done. But what I'm seeing is that that has actually plagued your immune system. That's not how you're meant to do things in this incarnation. Okay, and so we've got to have you release that way in which your immune system is functioning and taking in stuff that really isn't yours to take in anymore. So to allow you to filter out, right? There are other ways in which you can support people as a healer or medium of transmutation, right? Without taking it into your own body being. So we've got to shift how your immune system is working with outside energies and have you more in your sovereign flow and recognize the new ways in which you can then help support people in transmuting their own energy. Okay, so that's what we would do through that activation with the immune system for you. We'd recalibrate your system to adjust for that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Blessings. You good to keep going, Amanda,
Yeah.
a little bit? Yeah, because we have so many requests, and I love to have you do your thing, do your gift. So
Absolutely, we're here. Let's go for it.
Let's make the best of having you on the line today.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
with that, we're going to Boulder, Colorado with Glennis.
Yeah, so going to respiratory system. And what I'm seeing is what looks like a pump. It's like kind of like if you have a pump where you're trying to pump up, like I keep seeing like a basketball, and it's like you have a handheld pump. You know, nowadays we have ones that are where you just hold the button and it fills it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I'm seeing like the hand pump. So it's what I'm being told. It's like this perception and the consciousness of things having to be hard and having to work really hard and use a lot of energy and breath in order to get things done. Now that goes back to 28 past lives ago is where that consciousness is originating for you. And so we want to shift that consciousness and have you being in that natural, innate, organic flow that it's like it's breathing ease through you. It's breathing grace through you, right? And then being that example of what it looks like to be in the flow of the divine. You know, again, there's a lot of this where we become the example of what's possible for others, right, as we embrace and embody these gifts. So that's what we'll do through the respiratory activation for you, right? We can do that, bring you back into that more natural, innate flow that makes things so much easier and then allows you to become that greater divine expression of you, okay? So that's what I'm seeing there.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Glennis. Blessings. We are going to Arizona with Yvette.
Yeah, Yvette. For you, I'm going to musculoskeletal system. And this is really more about going deep within the skeletal system, deep within the bones. And what I'm seeing is that within the bones, there's like a porousness. And what I'm seeing is that there's holes in the foundation is how it's coming through. And this is going back to 10 past lives ago. And there's a perception that that even when I think I know or I think I've got a strong foundation, there are holes in what I know. There's holes in my knowledge or whatever. It's almost like I see it as kind of like that authority going, oh no, like you're missing this piece or you're missing that piece, right? There's kind of like this condescending energy that's projected into your auric field around this whole concept, right, of still having holes in my knowledge, or holes in what I know. And so we want to reconnect you with the light of truth in that you are all-knowing. Your bones are all-knowing. Your whole body being is all-knowing, right? And so that's what we can do through that musculoskeletal activation with Orion for you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Yvette. Let's go to, hold on, where were we going? Yes, we're going to Squamish with Liz.
Yeah, so I'm going to digestive system for you. And what I see is a holding on. There's like a clenching energy. I even see it like in the jaw. I see it in the shoulders and the back, the stomach, abdomen, the colon, right? This clenching and holding on, this sense of like I have to hold on because I don't know if I'm going to be nourished or fed later. That's the consciousness that I'm seeing. It goes back to 24 past lives ago for you. And so with that consciousness, we want to shift that and have you really step into that sense of being held in the field of nourishment, right? And I see a lot of that will shift right with the cerebral spinal fluid immersion that we're doing. But then, it's so important that we go in deeper and we really attune your vagus nerve to the recognition of you flowing that cosmic nourishment through your body as communication, directives, but then also you're held in that field of light. So that's what I'm seeing, so there's a combination of pieces, of course, that will help work with shifting that consciousness for you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Liz. Blessings. We are going to Cheektowaga with Daisy.
Yeah, so I'm going to immune system. And it's interesting because what I'm seeing is what looks like these little pegs that are sticking into the different bodies of the aura, right? And it's as if they're like these little intrusions that are like, well, wait, maybe have you considered this? It's like questioning your own consciousness or questioning your own truth. And it's interesting because I see that vulnerability to these intrusions that has one origin point. Right? These may have come in at different times, but the origin point of being susceptible to these intrusions goes back 39 past lives ago. And what I'm seeing is that there's that sense of feeling like, oh, other people know better or other people know more. I don't really know everything. I'm still a student. I'm still learning. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a student and constantly being in the learning and exploring and growing, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But you are both student and master is what your higher self is showing you simultaneously, right? We all are. We're master, we're student. Like it's a beautiful divine dance that we do within. And so we've got to have you also claiming your master capacities, your capacities as master. What are you master at? And so that, if these questions come through, rather than coming as an intrusion that sticks in your auric field, it passes through as a wave, right? A wave of like, oh, here's a question. Maybe I can explore this question, right? And then you can see, how does that interact with you? Is it relevant for you even, right? Rather than something that's pegged into your auric field. So we can shift the way in which you are processing that information and how that's impacting your immune system. It's going to be through different pieces. So not just the immune system activation, but the different ways in which we are recalibrating the auric field and working with the vagus nerve will help to shift that whole dynamic that's going on for you.
Okay, wow. Okay, thank you, Daisy. Thank you, blessings. Okay, we're going to Tacoma with Linda, and there's a message from Linda, so let me read what Linda wrote. Amanda, there's a question, actually. Has my vagus nerve been damaged by the Epstein-Barr virus that has been active in my body from mono for many years? If so, can you help me restore my vagus nerve? So that would be through the program. And so if you can answer the question and then do the reading, please, for Linda.
Right. So, with any kind of viruses, infections, things that we've got going on in the body, there's always an influence on the whole body system, right? And so there is an influence, an energetic influence. That's what I'm looking at, Linda, for you. So I'm looking at the energetic influence of the vagus nerve, and that's really what we want to look at. It doesn't matter if it was a virus that caused it, or it doesn't matter what has caused the kind of divergence from high truth of the vagus nerve. What we really want to get to is, what is that divergence, and how do we go not just to the influences in this lifetime, but all the way back to wherever the consciousness originated that opened us up to this as a physical experience in this lifetime. Now, that being said, Linda, what I see is that there's a karmic perception. It ties to 12 past lives ago for you of having to suffer, right? And that's linked to what you have going on in your vagus nerve, like this sense of feeling like, there's only so much good I can experience, and then, oh, wait, pain or suffering has to come in, right? And so we want to shift that consciousness. And this is a common consciousness that's like, when we think about it, we're like, no, none of us want that. Like, why would we hold that in our field? But it's something that's been projected or imprinted in other lifetimes that we've carried over. And so, this is a consciousness that we will be shifting as we do the cerebrospinal fluid work. It's a consciousness that we will be shifting as we do the vagus nerve work. And then it is a consciousness that we'll be shifting as we do each of those activations. It's something that, as we shift consciousness and come into integration with highest truth, it naturally dissolves the perceptions of having to suffer or be in pain or have certain experiences to dissolve karma, right? The greatest way that we can actually shift our karmic balance is by becoming the gift and being of service to the divine in this incarnation. And so, Linda, that's what I'm really being shown for you, is that we want to get you attuned to that high truth through these different things that we're doing, so that you can release that perception of having a karmic debt that you have to pay or fulfill, right? And that's going to help shift any of the, the consciousness that was either preceding any kind of viruses or a result of what you experienced in your physicality from viruses, illnesses, injuries, traumas, any of that kind of stuff. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for this clarity, Amanda. Thank you, Linda. Blessings.
Great
We are
question.
going to Frankfurt, Germany with Renee.
Yeah, so for Renee, I'm going to cardiovascular. And what I see is like a shrinking in of the heart. It's like, it's like, ooh, I want to really dance in the possibility and like the imagination. Like I see a vision and the imagination of what my heart really wants, but it's like keeping it small, keeping it close to the chest. I know that's an expression that we have here in the States. I don't know if it's a worldwide one, but it's like really like I want to entertain this idea, but the practicality of actually taking the steps to make something happen, there's like a fear of like, it's not going to happen. I don't want to be disappointed. So I just want to dance in the possibility of it. And then it's going to end there, right? That's the whole idea. So this whole idea of not being able to create and actualize the desires of the heart, that's what we really want to look at. That for you, I see that going back, originating 38 past lives ago. So we want to shift that consciousness and have you bring the bigness and the effulgence of the heart open so that you can experience these desires as reality. And what I'm being shown is that what you think the reality can be, it actually can be even better, right? Like what you think you can have, there's actually things that will feel even more fulfilling and rewarding and exciting and special for you, bigger than what you can even perceive as a possibility. And so, higher self, divine, it's all showing like that is what you're meant to experience, right? That's what you're meant to receive and dance with in this lifetime. And as you bring more of that joy through your body, that shifts the whole consciousness of the planet. It has ripples in the cosmic grids as well, right? So really that becomes a gift that you share out into the world and beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Renee. Blessings. Okay, let's go to New Jersey with Marina.
Yeah, Marina, going to digestive system, what I'm seeing is like a compression. It's like a closing in. And so when we think of the intestines and the motility, right, things moving through, we've got to have mobility for the food to move through, for things to be, the nutrients to be assimilated, for that which is waste product to be eliminated. But what I'm seeing is like a compressing in and like a small, like a confining of the energy there, and also a hardening all simultaneously. Now, what that links to is a consciousness going back 7 past lives ago, in this sense of like having to shrink in and stay small, and not want for too much, right? It's linked to the idea of there being limitations of what's available, what can go around, these types of ideas, and then that sense of having to kind of compress and confine in, and not wanting to be a burden. So these are the types of consciousness that are kind of contributing to that. So we can dissolve that consciousness and that digestive system activation, but also really kind of shifting into the opposite expression of really being open and available and in the movement and the receptivity and the assimilation of higher levels of light through the digestive tract, not just for your body, but again, as we receive and assimilate through our body, we then anchor those frequencies on the earth plane and help with planetary ascension. And I see that you have a real capacity to help anchor light into the earth plane. And so this is a gift that you can bring when we shift this consciousness.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Marina. Blessings. Okay, let's squeeze in a few more before we get to our special announcement. That's exciting too, but I want to squeeze in a few more readings. Going to Portland with Lani.
Yeah. So I'm going to the reproductive system. And what I'm seeing here is there's inadequacies that I'm seeing held in there, like this inadequacy of like not being able to do it, not being able to carry the burden. These are the words that are coming in for the consciousness that's held in the reproductive system, not being able to regulate, to be consistent. This consciousness, the origin of this consciousness goes back 11 past lives ago, and that inadequacy, it's like it was fed by mom. There's almost like a jealous energy that I see projected from mom that's creating this sense of having you feel inadequate in that lifetime, so that she could feel better, right? And so not to judge that consciousness or judge mom in that lifetime or anything like that, right? We just want to get clear on this is the consciousness. It's not your truth. So we want to dissolve that, which we can do in that activation for the reproductive and urinary tract system. And then really opening you up to what is that truth of you? What is that truth as a frequency? What is that truth as a vibration of your potency, your capacity, your ability to be this radiant, beautiful beacon of light and creativity and ingenuity. There's so much richness that exists within you that is so beyond, there's like no space for even a perception of inadequacy. And that's what we want to instill and bring to life within you. So that's what I see for you.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you, Lani. Blessings. We're going to New York with Jill.
Yeah, for Jill, I'm going into the brain. And what I see is there's kind of this, the toggling between what's right and what I should be doing versus what I really want to do, what's creative, what's fun, what sparks my life. It's kind of the left to right brain battle, And so I see we're going back 14 past lives ago for you, and it's the responsibility and duty come first. Like that's what I have to do. That's what's expected. And I can't veer from that. That's the consciousness that I see. So we have to shift that. That's something that we will be honing in on in the nervous system activation, remote activation, that kind of brain harmonization in conjunction with the nervous system. And so we'll be shifting that. And we've got to get that shifted so that you can bring that balance, right? There is a balance between the structure that we want to hold for the creative flow to come through and that creative energy to really come through and to be this dance of energies and balance. There are going to be different spaces and times where we require different balances. Sometimes we're going to require a little more structure. Sometimes we require a little more of the creative light. So we want to bring that back into balance for you, and that's what we can do with the work that we're going to be doing and attuning our vagus nerve to really trusting the intuitive instincts that are coming through and helping to inform the brain as well, right? What the body needs. So that's a big piece of that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Sorry. Thank you, Jill. Blessings. Wow. So there are so many more requests, which I was thinking really reflects the degree to which this vagus nerve is so critical, so important, and obviously everyone got the sense of the importance of it. So thank you everyone for your interest, and I'm sure by now, whether or not you get your own personal reading from Amanda, you can be sure of how she's brilliantly here to support you with your vagus nerve, no matter what it is that is going on for you. So let me wrap up before we get to our special announcement. The exclusive package that Amanda has created, the Supra-STELLAR Nervous System Conduction. It includes 2 live immersion group calls with replays, the liquid celestial light animation immersion, that's the number 1. Number 2, the golden vagus nerve innervation immersion. And then you have the whole body neural reconditioning, that's 9-day vagus nerve remote activation series that's spreading over 18 days. So you have 1 day of remote activation followed by 1 day of integration, and you have all the details. There's so much more, right? All the details, go to gracefulconnections.com/Amanda5. That's Amanda digit 5. If you're on the webcast, you have the button, you have the link to get all the details on the page. If you're on the replay, just scroll down the page and discover Amanda's special offer. For now, let's get to our special announcement. Mm-hmm. Amanda is generously offering a fast action bonus for any purchases by Sunday, May 25th at midnight Pacific. Amanda, please tell us about your fast action bonus, the Cosmic Weight Enhancement Sacred Symbol Remote Installation.
Yeah, so I mentioned that, I work with sacred symbols, and these are, they're beautiful, and we spin them in from the expansive realms of your consciousness. It's your own expansive consciousness coming in to support you. And one of the things, I was talking about how I'm consistently seeing energy outside of the body, and part of what came through when I was exploring this was that so much of that is linked to the weight that is held within the consciousness of the body, right? There's weight around the choices that we make, the decisions that we make, the actions that we take. There's a weight, there's a heavy weight to what are the repercussions of that, or the benefits, or the how it impacts others, right? We can carry that weight like a burden in our body, or on our shoulders. We can carry that heaviness in our being. We can also be carrying consciousness of being underweight, where we kind of put the weight outside ourselves and we don't allow the nourishment to come into the body that we need to have that harmonized weight. So wherever we are in that journey of whatever weight struggles we might be going through, physically, energetically, however it's displaying for us, it's really important that we recognize that consciousness is shifted internally to support our vagus nerve, right? So we're going to bring in a symbol that aids in kind of 3 key pieces that will impact vagus nerve consciousness. So metabolic regulation, how are we using our energy? How efficiently are we using our energy to harmonize and balance the weight of our body, the weight that we're holding, whether it's a perceptual weight or an actual physical weight. Again, bringing that into harmony and balance. Stress hormones. What are the stress hormones that are surging through our body that are imbalanced, right? We want to make sure that our hormones are balanced, that we are not kicking off our fight, flight, freeze response, that we're not triggering excess production of cortisol and stress hormones. Right. So that's the second area that this symbol is going to address. And then the third is our gut microbiome and gut-brain axis. So really shifting the consciousness of those pieces so that we are actually craving and drawing in, magnetizing into our body being that which really is most nourishing and that which allows us to be most efficient with how we utilize energy, right? So that we can more fully bring the energy, the light into our body that brings lightness to our body, but strength simultaneously, right? So that we are that ideal, harmonized, balanced weight within our being, right? There's a weightiness that has us feeling kind of centered and strong in our body when we feel it. And so we want to really have that balance in the body. And that's what this symbol is really going to support with, working in these three key areas to establish a sense of feeling super light, super free in the body, but also super strong and fortified within our being. And so there's a lot more details there on the Fast Action bonus page that you can look at about what, what's going to be addressed. But the takeaway is really, bringing us into that greater harmony of what that high truth is for the harmonization of how we utilize energy and our body's responses that match, the evolution and the elevation of what we're going to be doing for the vagus nerve. So this will be done before we move into any of the live calls or the remote access this symbol. You'll get this to help. The cool thing about the symbols is that it will be there available to expand and even deepen even more the shifts that we're making through the immersions and remote activation. So it really is a beautiful gift. And these symbols are always incredible. It's amazing to witness what comes through, the nuances. Like, even if two people were to get a similar looking symbol, the nuances of it is so specific and precise and detailed and complex. We're coming back to the word complex.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to witness. So it's truly, truly special to receive your personalized symbol. So that's the bonus that you get.
Thank you. And it is really the perfect complement to the core program, the Supra-Stellar Nervous System Conduction. So Fast Action bonus expires on Sunday, May 25th at midnight Pacific. So take action fast. Yes. Thank you so much, Amanda, for this additional generous offering. Now, you have shared so much already, but are there any closing words that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's so important for us to recognize is that in these physical bodies, it's so important that we are really serving the integration of the light, the anchoring of the light into our physicality. And allowing that to really open us up to being in the joy and the beauty and the journey of experiencing all the dimensions of existence within our being. And so as we regulate our vagus nerve in conjunction with our elevated soul expression, and we really attune our body to operating in this more dynamic fashion, it actually allows us to remain centered and rooted in the truth of our greater soul nature, but also being able to dance within the myriad of experiences. That's why we seek outside of self different experiences and connections and, traveling and, just all the different things that we seek outside of self. It's to kind of be on this journey and this ride of different experiences. And so the more that we allow ourselves to be attuned internally and centered into the light of our truth, the more we can kind of navigate and experience these different myriad of frequencies and energies and ranges that allow us to really be content in a way within our own being without having to feel like we have to constantly be seeking outside of self for those experiences. And that's so powerful because that really allows for the dissolution of all the different types of consciousness that we've identified through these readings and that we hold within our being that impair our capacity to really draw in the expansive nature of our cosmic self. So, as we navigate this ascension journey, really the centeredness and the capacity to explore through our own bodies only enriches these experiences that we have outside of self. So then we can still go do it all, right, Sophie? But now we're doing it from a space of feeling complete and fulfilled already, and now we're enriching our experience in this physical world. So, I love these journeys, the activations that come through. I'm always like, wow, when they first come through. But then when we actually do them, it's like a whole other, I don't even know if there are words to describe what comes through, but it's majestic. It is magical. It's stunning. And so I'm just really excited to go on this journey. For those of you who feel the call, like I'm so excited to go on this journey through the body, but through, the cosmos, through the body, and really explore what wants to come through and what wants to awaken for all of us collectively in this journey that we go through together. So I invite you to come join me. I can't wait to dive in personally. And I'm so excited to see all of you there and just extending lots of love and many, many blessings to all of you, and so much gratitude for you being here with us, and gratitude to you, Sophie, for bringing us together in this sacred space and sacred community today.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Sacred space. Let's take a moment to return to the awareness of the orb of grace surrounding us, allowing it to remain there, holding us, holding all that we have discovered, experienced, received today, as we are held in the orb of grace for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. I'm closing now by offering my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you, whether you're present live or on the replay. Thank you for joining us today, for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling to drink of the rich cosmic nourishment flooding your bioenergetic systems to enrich your total body radiance. Infinite gratitude to our brilliant expert, Amanda Hopkins, for all the wisdom, the guidance, the sacred offerings you have gifted us today. Thank you, Amanda. And gratitude to the Orb of Grace for providing a safe, sacred sanctuary for our journey of exploration. Gratitude for all the grace we are blessed with at every moment, whether we are aware of it or not. Grace offers all the nourishment, the nurturing, the healing, and the insights we open our hearts to receive. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings who guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine presence that flows through all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until we meet again very soon, may many graceful blessings shower upon us all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amanda. And goodbye now.